Hello and welcome back to the History of series. In today's entry to the archive, we'll be adding The Forge, a secretive English intelligence agency rivaling even the United Nations Intelligence Task Force. So, what's their story? Well, let's find out. From the very beginning, the elder god Wayland manipulated the Forge as part of his game with Fenric. At the turn of the 19th century, the Forge, formerly known as Department C4, was set up by the British government intelligence organisation to deal with extraterrestrials. In the 1890s, the Forge Alpha facility was set up in an abandoned asylum in Dartmoor. In 1901, Chief Mate Jacques de Requin of the Lancaster used the phrase "for king and country" on radio while transporting a mermaid to an unknown buyer. In 1911, the Forge commenced Project Twilight, an attempt to create a vampire super-soldier using DNA harvested in South America. Dr. William Aberton was the project coordinator. For the next 4 years, the Forge gathered over 100 individuals from prisons and off the street. These test subjects were injected with vampire DNA, subjected to radiation therapy, DNA manipulation, and numerous courses of drugs. On October 4th, 1915, 57 vampires escaped from the Dartmoor facility, killing 20 Forge agents. Among those killed was Aberton, who survived by injecting himself with the Twilight virus. Aberton pledged to kill all of the escaped test subjects and began calling himself Nimrod. In 1917, the Forge were behind Brooks' experiments on wounded soldiers to create the ultimate killers at Charnage Hospital. In the 1930s, the Forge created a method of controlling the Vashta Nerada. In 1945, the Forge were transporting alien equipment, including a truthsayer, when it was stolen by Joey Carlyle, who used it to his advantage. Forge operative Miss Merchant went after him, trying to get it back. In the 1950s, the Forge launched Project Dionysus. With the purpose of creating a reality-warping superweapon, the Divergence almost used the Dionysus machine to escape from their universe, but was stopped when the machine was destroyed by a Cuban spy. In November 1963, the Seventh Doctor and Ace fought Daleks in Shoreditch. The Forge kept a report on this incursion, which included a description of the Doctor. In 1965, after Barkov told the British ambassador that her brother, Shurik Barkov, could read the thoughts of other people and predict every move they'd make, the Forge was one of the British government departments that was interested in bringing Shurik to England. The entire situation was actually a trap created by the Soviet Union. Countermeasures brought the two siblings to London and learned that Anya was a psychic bomb. She was shot to save the people of London, leaving nobody for the Forge to experiment on and learn about psychic abilities from. By the 1970s, the Europans had their brainwashed Forge team capture the Third Doctor, claiming to be military agents taking Joe Grant and the Doctor to a secure location. With the defeat of the Europans, the Forge team aged to death. The monk tried to alter the timeline by replacing the Third Doctor with the Seventh Doctor, who was more willing to sacrifice the TARDIS to save the Europans, an action the exiled Third Doctor would never have taken. However, with Joe's interference, the TARDIS was saved, and the Europan ship was destroyed, causing the timeline to reset to the original version with the Third Doctor. In 1997, the Seventh Doctor and Ace fought Morgaine and Carberry. The Forge kept a report on this conflict, which included a description of the Doctor. The Forge went on several notable missions in the early 2000s. They fought zombies, hunted down a low-grey alien in the New Forest, and harvested a Slavian at a peace conference. In 2000, after a Trenegan ship exploded in Earth's atmosphere, the Forge salvaged some of its propulsion technology. Lysandra Aristides spent several months integrating it into Pegasus 1, 2, and 3. In 2001, the Forge's deputy director was Colonel Charles Crichton, formerly of UNIT. In November, Nimrod tracked down the Twilight Vampires' ringleaders, Reggie Mead and Amelia Dury, at the South East London casino they used as a front operation. Alongside the Sixth Doctor and Evelyn Smythe, he destroyed them. In the process, casino worker Cassie Schofield, whom Nimrod had been blackmailing to help him, was turned into a vampire. The Doctor hid Cassie in Norway before she could be taken by Nimrod. After dredging the River Thames for Amelia's body, Nimrod went to Bristol and killed William Moor, the last surviving Project Twilight test subject. In 2002, Nimrod located Cassie Schofield in Norway and brought her back to Dartmoor. She briefly escaped and killed Mark Bradley before she was recaptured and brought into the depths of the Alpha facility. She was tortured and brainwashed into becoming an agent of the Forge. When the Internal Counterintelligence Service was formed, many Forge soldiers were seconded to ICIS. Philip Kirby, one of ICIS's biggest supporters, had close ties to the Forge. Colonel French was among the first group of soldiers to be transferred. The Forge encountered the Sixth Doctor again in November 2004, while aggressively acquiring a Huldron spacecraft, and finally initiated Project Lazarus, an attempt to replicate his regenerations. While the Doctor did escape, they had enough DNA information to create a clone of him. Though it was unable to regenerate, it had enough of the Doctor's attributes to be hired as a scientific advisor. When the Huldrons began attacking the Forge in retaliation, Nimrod had the clone brainwashed to believe he truly was the Doctor, and had been stranded on Earth and was helping them prevent the Huldrons destroying the Earth. As part of a long-term operation, an Australian Forge agent named James Clark had been backing Catherine Chambers' Cybermen technology experiments since 1984. In September 2006, he had a usable product. Iris Wildthyme told Hilary Mercer to send a damaged time scanner to the Forge at Dartmoor. By 2008, the constant Huldron attacks and the arrival of the Seventh Doctor caused several key Forge members to begin questioning their work, and the clone to realise the truth of his existence. While the Doctor solved the Huldron situation, the clone activated the Hades Protocol, the base's self-destruct program. Almost all of the Forge personnel in the facility died. Some of their bodies were recovered through the facility's escape hatch. Just after the Alpha facility's destruction, Oracle uploaded itself to the Forge Beta facility, another underground base beneath London. Luckily for the Forge, many of their soldiers had been seconded to ICIS at the time, and after the organisation was disbanded, they were able to return. Sometime before the artifacts from the Geocomtex vault were stolen and sold in an auction circa 2012, Erik Ulfriksson paid the Forge for information on the Key of Horus. In 2015, the Forge was transporting Derleth from Ukraine back to the UK. Lysandra Aristides was tasked with carrying out the mission, but she failed when the Seventh Doctor and an older Lysandra and Sally Morgan trapped him in Lysandra's mind. In August 2016, Mickey Smith considered contacting the Forge after his wife was mutated by the Punctway, but decided against doing so as they'd probably dissect her. In 2017, the Forge salvaged Distronic missiles from a crashed Arcadian spaceship. In 2020, Agamia Akhtar of Probe tried to contact the Forge for help with the perihelion. The Forge hung up as soon as they realised who was calling. They hired Frost to weaponize nature using alien technology. Sometime after 2021, the Forge were forced to go public as it became near impossible to stay covert in the social media era. The organisation became headquartered in the Crichton building overlooking the Thames. After several encounters with the Forge, Iris Wildthyme decided to make the Forge stop trying to steal her DNA. She took Panda to Weston-super-Mare and placed an anonymous phone call to the Forge telling them that a living teddy bear was in the area. Within 10 minutes, they had found Panda and placed him in a quarantine unit. They established a temporary base around the unit and scanned Panda to find out how he was alive. When they began to take Panda apart piece by piece with a molecular scrubber, Iris shut down the base's power. She rescued Panda and offered the base's scientific officer, Patrick Matthewman, a vial of her blood. Matthewman had the facility's Oracle scan the blood. Iris's blood hacked into the Oracle and destroyed all technology in the facility. Although most of the damage was localized, the main facility's Oracle spoke with a northern accent for a while. In 2026, Nimrod was vaporized by alien technology and the Forge Beta facility was destroyed in an explosion. After Nimrod's supposed death, Lysandra became the director. 3 months later, Kai Lizakia attacked the Forge's archive with its cult, the Sons of Kai. The Doctor's new companion, Sally Morgan, infiltrated Lysandra's troop as they defended their base from the cultists. Eventually, the troop found themselves fighting Kai Lizakia itself. At this point, the Doctor intervened and killed the Elder God with a cyberplanner's neural cortex. Afterwards, he asked Lysandra if she wanted to travel with him, and she agreed. Before leaving, the Doctor took some of the Forge's alien technology into his black TARDIS. After several months, the organisation was much diminished. Lysandra had departed, and UNIT were cleaning out the remains of the Crichton building. Nimrod had managed to survive vaporization. He was connected to the Forge main computer, Oracle. From within the basement of the Forge's new base, he guided them through the 21st century. During this time, a number of directors came and went, but Nimrod was always behind the scenes, turning the Forge into his vision. Under Nimrod's control, the Forge gained enough power from salvaged xenotech to break away from the British government, and so became the most powerful and influential conglomerate on Earth. In the 22nd century, Nimrod subconsciously grew tired of life and sent a telepathic signal to the Seventh Doctor. The Doctor came to their base and left a syringe containing the cure for the Twilight virus beside Nimrod, but the vampire DNA was the only thing that kept him alive. In a timeline which was aborted when Ace, Hex, Lysandra and Sally took Wayland's shield from 5th century Denmark, the Forge found the shield and filed it as the Higgs Killer. Nimrod brought it to CERN and had it tested. It was shot into a time field so that it was destroyed before it even existed. Nonetheless, the dangerous capabilities of the shield were confirmed, and it was hidden at the heart of the Forge. Decades later, the Ministry of Defense salvaged the shield and kidnapped Lysandra to get the codes to use it. She was killed in the process of her interrogation, but General Sally Morgan was able to get the codes out of her. The shield was fired at a dangerous alien invasion force. It destroyed both the aliens and the Earth. And that is the story of The Forge, one that spans almost a decade of Big Finish and feels like a more evil version of Torchwood. Like, what if Torchwood was formed under the government instead of the Crown and wasn't as prosperous? But anyway guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video then consider leaving a like and subscribing down below, as it really helps out the channel. But as always, thanks for watching.